click that, and then in your preferences, make sure the right microphone is switched on for for the webcam you're using right now. And if anything, you just refresh your page, and that oftentimes might just fix it. If, let's say, if you refresh and then turn back on your camera.
With this Mac Mini, for some reason, it defaults to what would be inline, which of course there is no inline microphone. So I have to tell it, even though it defaults to the 930 camera, or 9 whatever it is, it doesn't default to the microphone. Sorry about that.
That's okay. No problem. Did you guys have any initial questions about the profile page to start, or can I talk to you now just about how the chat room works? Any questions about the profile page?
Well, it's more about the chat room, and it was interesting because I was speaking with Joel last night, and Richard, I'm sorry I didn't give you a little heads up about this.
That's okay.
It's nothing major. I think for what we're currently doing with our interviews, that the open talk that we have set up on more appropriate because it allows us to do what we want very simply, okay, which is we take a non-technical interviewer and a non-technical interviewee, and they literally have 2 buttons they have to push.
Yeah.
Right, Richard?
Right.
We don't have to mess with the screen. It's right there. It's right there. However, what this really has some intrinsic value for, and Joel and I were talking about this last night, was, let's say, trying to remember his name. Oh, so Richard, let's say we have Barry Habib. Can you imagine selling a webinar with 10, maybe 15 people, one-on-one with Barry Habib, getting their own coaching, getting their own limited ticket, limited venue, et cetera, or maybe a series of them over a 10-week period where he can give them insider tips and so on and so forth.
Right.
Something like that's really going to be a revenue generator in that regard. All right, and eventually when you get to the next level, Max, the ability to share presentations is going to be what's really going to work for them. It's really going to take out their entire webinar, the existing package they're using, because the ability for multiple people to be involved like this is very attractive to Joel and Andrew and what they're trying to do. Richard, is this in line with what you're thinking?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
So, I'm sorry, Richard. You're the production manager. Let me shut up now.
You know what? I'm sorry, guys. I have to step out for about 10 minutes. Mike, you can go on. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. If you're still on, I'll log in. If not, I'll watch the video.
No
you
problem.
know something? I think what's better off at this point is let's cut it here. And I basically have everything I need. Max and I talked yesterday, and I have an understanding of what's going on. Why don't you, Richard, if you have any other questions, get in touch with Max via email, or if I can fill you in, I will.
All right, sounds good.
Right. Max,
Richard, do you want to speak? Richard, do you want to speak after you're done with your
call? No. Let me talk to Joel and Mike first, because I'm not sure what the discussion was yesterday between them, and then I'll shoot some questions to the email where
Max,
I'll tell you
don't
about
worry, we like the product.
Okay.
We definitely like the product.
Yeah, I mean, so on my front, I had some ideas that I'm definitely happy to shoot over to you guys as to how the platform can be used. Because I do understand you have these interviews, and if it could be taken to another level of more interactive engagement, then we're happy to really help. And so, yeah, do you want me to send over some of these ideas, and I'll wait to hear back from the two of you?
Well, Richard, I'll tell you what, I'm going to talk with Max a little further. You drop off, and then I'll talk with you this afternoon.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
It was good seeing you guys.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
So, Max, I think one of the big things that's going to work, especially when they do their interviews, is going to be that ability to share some sort of presentation or other media during the interview process. I think that's number one. I think that's going to be a major factor here. If you can get to the point where we can get this recorded almost in like a studio situation. And in fact, I'll tell you what.
Well, Mike, do you mind if I cut you off for a second? Because I think, I think I was looking at some of your guys' interviews. I think that those are doing what they wanted to do right now. I think that it's important to recognize that this is a different experience we're shooting for. Like, I don't think, the same reasons why an individual would host a webinar to present that PowerPoint is a different use case for why, Mortgage News Network would host, let's say, a roundtable discussion amongst 3 or 4 thought leaders in that space about the said topic.
And I think you're spot on that. I think what Open Talk lacks, and what you'll eventually be coming up with, which is going to work more to what we're looking for, not Open Talk, but Open Talk, not WebRTC, RTC, is that presentation multimedia piece. And when you bring that factor in, that's going to make the interview, the ability to do interviews or display interviews, a lot more enticing for this particular audience. Let's face it, they want to see trends, charts, and all this stuff. And if you can't do that, you're really lacking. These guys look to things like CNN and Reuters and their online interview process and how it works. That's what they're using as their gauge.
Yeah.
And they want to have that ability to cut in that multimedia piece, that additional, the supporting documentation and so on. Right. So I think if you get that to that level, that's going to show you, that's going to give them what they want.
Yeah. Question for you: do you think that, because we've had organizations that have run into that, let's just call it a problem for lack of a better term. They want to be able to share a PowerPoint. They know that they can't use Vonvo for it, but what they'll do is they will, to all the people who they're marketing the event to, they will send the PowerPoint out to those people via an email blast to have open on their computer, and if they need to walk through it, do you think that essentially is a Band-Aid fix or not really?
I think what that is that's more of considering what else is out there and what's available as far as platforms that already do that. I think it really doesn't look right because I think it's already out there and it's available. And that's not to say, but something that's my only point in saying what I'm saying is I know that's a feature you're working towards. Not a complaint, and not in any way, shape, putting you down because you don't have it. But it's something I'm saying in the future would be attractive to MNN and would not preclude them from doing what I was talking about earlier.
Cool. In
any way, shape, or form.
Right. So, yeah, I guess then some of the other things I was going to mention, in terms of some of the ideas that I had come up with, I think, for instance, like discussions about the real estate market in New York or in California, wherever it might be, and having like essentially sort of like your editorial board of maybe you're tackling the Northeast region, 1 week, and then you're tackling the South, West another week, and you're bringing in different expert speakers because you guys have the network to participate in those types of roundtables. I think would be awesome. I think at the same time, same goes for like interest rate oriented discussions. I think where the tool really would add some value is I see there's a lot of interviews, but one of the problems with what is currently going on is those interviews have no sort of like audience Q&A, right? So like if there was a roundtable taking place where it was focused on audience engagement through Q&A through the text chat, I think that's where you would see some significant value because our text chat is really a very engaging component.
Which I understand, but I think once again where this is going to, and I think that'll work for now. But I think very quickly you're going to get a speaker that's going to say, but I want to also present this documentation, and I want to demonstrate it, and I want to be able to say, I want people to be able to speak to, and people are going to want to question when I have that slide up.
Yeah.
Once again, this is not to hammer on you about it. I'm sorry, that's not the way I'm coming across. Okay. But I think that's something that's going to be a real plus here.
Yep.
And the thing that's scared, the thing from a feature standpoint in your product that's going to be a real, where it's going to really be a problem, all right, is even though it looks like crap, have you noticed that CNN is now using Skype?
Yeah.
It looks like crap.
Right.
All right, but it also has that Microsoft is behind it. Now it has the PowerPoint piece and everything else. Yet you've got this area right down here in the lower right hand corner. Boy, wouldn't that be great just to have a presentation of you're there,
Yeah.
where people could do that once again.
Yep. Yeah, I hear you. So can I ask you just a couple other quick questions? Well, for one,
Sure.
do you have anything to do with the tennis magazine work that Joel does?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So could you see, because I had spoken about this with his editor, the concept of like the Australian Open is coming up in 1 week from now. One of the 4 majors in tennis. Like, could you see the tennis magazine and the editors on staff potentially wanting to host online discussions and creative content for tennis fans to come and engage with around the tennis magazine?
Once again, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
All right. I have no doubt about that, but I will warn you ahead of time.
Yeah.
All right. It's going to be a hard sell for the tennis magazines right now. Okay. I'm trying to get the work we've been discussing, and not that they're against it, but we've been discussing now for going on a year and a half redoing the tennis magazines, but it's not a priority right now. However, what you're saying would work very well for them and would be a revenue generator. Here are a couple things that I think are key to making this happen.
Yeah.
Okay. First off, in a commercial entity such as Mortgage News Network or the tennis magazines, doesn't fit in with your current branding of nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
So putting them up in the group of nonprofits on your main page really doesn't look right in what you're trying to push. Second off, I think there needs to be I think that the interface needs to lose the donation part of it and so on for the for-profit entities themselves.
Right, so that can be shut on or off. As you notice, it's not here in this chat room, so
Right.
recognize that.
Sharing your email in a commercial entity or such as that is probably not as probably not something that people are going to be interested in. In a commercial entity and what they're dealing with that, they're not interested in a global solution. They're like, what's in it for me? I don't care about anybody else. So that's another thing. However, the rest of your interface is spot on and I think works great.
Yeah. I think the emails could be valuable for the tennis magazine because they're constantly trying to discover new subscribers, right? So like if we can get people from, Connecticut and from Delaware to engage in some tennis discussions, that could add some serious value if we're encouraging people to share email.
No doubt about it. I'm just talking about sharing it with all the other members in the room would not be something that people would want.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. So the way that it works, so is since you and Joel and Rich, you would be the admins on the Mortgage News Network or the tennis magazine channel, you guys would be the ones that receive those emails, not everyone. It would just be you as admins that receive it. Just so you.
It's interesting because they use, I know because I've had to develop forms based around the API for it. They use Mad Mimi.
Say again.
For their Mad Mimi.
Okay.
For their constant contact and
right.
so on.
Yeah.
So it would be great if we could embed a form when we're having that discussion that says, hey, sign up for this electronic version, sign up for that electronic version,
yeah.
or stop here for Mortgage News Network to get alerts, or National Mortgage Professional. So these are the type of things that I think you might want to think about in the regard of going after this. Now, of course, Mad Mimi is just one of a dozen different CRMs out there. Okay, so you're gonna mostly want to do something that is probably more generic, which probably would be to collect all the emails and then allow the administrators to download a CSV.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then they can import it into whatever they have.
Yep. Exactly.
But that's just something I think you might want to consider on this in the long run, because it's one of these things where it's like they want to grow the market of the magazines. They want to grow the subscribers. They want to see what they can do in that regard as well.
Yep.
Because it gives them access then to sharing that with their advertisers. I don't want to keep you on. I know you got a busy day ahead, but I really appreciate it. And my email is always available to you, shooting things out. I will have my email, and if I can answer any questions for you, please.
Yeah. So
don't hesitate to contact me.
exactly. So why don't you go back to the team and tell Joel what you discovered here? See if if there's a way that you guys think this month or next month you think you could begin hosting some events, and we're happy to have you if so. And yeah, I'd love to know if there's a way to collaborate with MMN or the tennis magazine, or both, and I'd love to see both of those.
It's not just that. I think National Mortgage Professional as well.
Yeah.
I think all three of them. So look, don't worry. You've sold me. I will definitely make. I'm a fan. So we'll see what we can do. I may have a couple of other clients as well.
Awesome. That'd be amazing. Yeah, we're in total total biz dev right now. We're trying to raise an investment here from New York City investors, and they want to see new clients, active use of the tool, and paying customers. And so,
well, I saw you did some things. With the guys at Train World.
Yeah, yep, they loved it.
I know them.
Yeah, they loved it.
I'm actually the webmaster for MTH Electric Trains,
cool.
Which, depending on which way the wind is blowing, it's Lionel and MTH that are number one and number two in that range, in that market.
Yeah, Lionel loved it, man. I was so excited to see them use the tool. So,
well, let's see what we can. Let me introduce it to Andy at MTH. He's the VP of Marketing. We're about to launch their new website for them.
Okay.
This is the second iteration we've done for them. So let me get that settled, and then I'll bring it up and we'll see what we can do, because they have some tech guys that they could do some webinars with. That would be absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's just it's a brand storytelling tool, right? So it's just a way for any brand to engage their members in a more effective manner. So absolutely, please, anyone who you could refer would be super helpful. Like, it's critical that we're onboarding new clients right now. So I'll look forward to hearing from you guys when after you get a chance to speak.
What about one last question?
Yeah.
And it's just a question. What about creating this so that you can embed it in a client's website?
That's what's coming with a $1 million raise. If we can raise $1 million, we're trying to build our own API.
Because that's what all of my clients are going to want.
Yeah, no, that's like the number one thing we're looking to build come the start of the summer, assuming that we can raise some money.
Okay. Sounds good.
Right.
Have a good one, Max.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.